Now you're putting locks on these things? Good God. So if somebody leaves it in the way and they lock it in the way, nobody can move it?
Into a wedding venue. Police say when the Cadillac eventually stopped, the officer yelled at the man to give up, but he replied, quote, "Nope," and grabbed some purses that they say he stole and tried to make his getaway through the woods. K9 Midas is credited with tracking and stopping DeMario Russell, but officers say Russell didn't pick the fight with the canine handler.
For the next several minutes, it repeats a pattern of the canine officer removing his canine from the offender. The offender then begins to flee again and then offer resistance to the officer.
Eventually, other officers were able to take Russell into custody. Peachtree City Police say their two canines, Midas and Amir, have helped make 29 arrests in the last 2 years, and they're credited with an over 500% increase in felony drug arrests since 2019. They are even on Instagram at Peachtree City Canine. Fox 5 featured a big arrest for heroin in 2021, in which Canine Midas was credited with sniffing out the drugs. During the arrest last week, police say DeMario Russell was accused of striking both the dog and his handler. Police have charged him with harm to police canine and battery of an officer. They've also charged him with breaking into cars, DUI, and a number of other traffic violations. Police say he was also wanted by authorities in Fulton County for failure to appear on a DUI, and he's likely to face additional entering auto charges in Fayette County. After the arrest, a police Instagram account showed Midas getting what they said was a well-earned reward. In Peachtree City, Doug Evans, Fox 5 News.
Hour and a half later, shortly after, SWAT team members surrounded Seeley's house. After an hours-long standoff, they entered the home and found him dead from a gunshot wound. The case remains under investigation.
UGA offensive him. That's the story. Right now, investigators are working to figure out what led to that fight.
It's still too early to know why they decided to meet, where they met. That'll be part of our investigation tonight. But that's all we know right now is they both met mutually on Wall Street, right below Forsyth Street.
Both of them were rushed to Grady. She was treated and released. Lambert is still in intensive care tonight.
A police canine helps apprehend an accused suspect.
Explosive testimony in the murder trial of disgraced South Carolina lawyer Alec Murdaugh. The interview prosecutors introduced that they say incriminates him.
And it's been an eyesore in the community for months. Now officials are stepping in to take out the trash. How long the cleanup is expected to take?
Some of the top things. Police and firefighters are run down.
The Public Safety Training Center will be a vital piece of infrastructure.
The center will include an obstacle course for emergency vehicles, housing for police and fire recruits, and 300 acres of parkland. The mayor insists the site will have a modest footprint and will protect the woodlands.
Our development partner has committed to replace any hardwood tree that will be destroyed in construction with 100 hardwood trees for each one.
Protesters don't trust the city or the county to make good on those promises.
No accountability ever comes from the environmental damage that happens in these projects.
Now, the mayor insists officers will receive training in community policing and how to de-escalate potential conflicts with the public. Live in City Hall, Christopher King.
I see politics, but I see purpose, and I don't see political division. But I see a joint determination for the victim that never was.
Governor Kemp says that they're working on legislation that'll help improve the lives of victims and bring awareness and education to the state. New tonight, there will soon be
Media also doesn't tell the other side of the story, that myth also has been debunked. Now, married homes, absolutely they're not as married. But black fathers are among some of the most active fathers. These studies have shown for decades at this point. But not only does leftist media spin this narrative as if, the black father isn't involved at all, they also spin it as if these problems with the divorce rate, so forth and so on, are only a black issue. These people are poverty pimps getting themselves rich while they're selling. I mean, we see it all the time in entertainment. We got women that'll sing songs about get him, girl, take his money, so forth and so on. These women are married. These women are married with happy families. We see politicians, Maxine Waters, $6 million crib in the poorest district in her state. So we see the forked tongue and the contradiction. Our job is, one, to consistently expose that contradiction, as well as not rely on government to present the solution. And I know I keep sounding like a broken record, but that is our work at the Solutionary Center. We are completely voluntary funded, no tapping in, no redistribution of wealth. The individual chooses to say, I like that, I want to support it, we want to put some money behind it so we can get this thing not only working and showing value in Philadelphia, but now we can make this in every single one of these Democratic ran cities across the nation, because we have to do that to save this republic. America could not be here. We have become so accustomed to it being here, it could not be here. And if we continue to go the way that we are, it will not last over the next 100 years.
And I fully agree with outdated look into race and involving race into everything that is actually happening in this country, because everything is not racist. Can a person be a bad person? Can a person just lack judgment and lack the necessary individual tools needed to do a great job? I think that once we're able to get out of this mindset that everything has to be about race, I think we'll see things for what they actually are. Dr. King told us we should judge people by the content of the character and not the color of their skin. And it seems like to me that we're regressing. We're not moving forward. We're taking steps backward.
I see what you mean about the importance of looking at this on an individual level. Diversity has been a proposed solution to end racism in policing, and there are concerns racism in policing exists at a systemic level, and now a policy and research coordinator for the Movement for Black Lives told ABC News that individuals adapt the norms of the system, so therefore diversity would be irrelevant to tackling that problem. What is your stance on this?
I vehemently reject this. It's not the system, it's on the individual level. See, what happens is there is no system in place right now in the United States of America that seeks to subjugate one race of people. What is happening is that you have people, or individuals rather, with their own personal feelings in positions of power, and enforces their own biases unto specific people and those while they're in their positions of power. I think that we have to take a step back and understand that it's never been about diversity. It's been about the content and of the character of the person within these specific positions. And again, I think that for the last 2 or 3 years, we've got this wrong completely. It's not about equality. It's not about equity in that sense. It's about understanding that the best people need to be put forward for these types of positions that involves being a public servant. We're not getting down to the core of the issue, and the core of the issue runs back to the fact that there needs to be better people for the job, and this is on an individual basis and not on a collective basis as we've been led to believe.
Well, thank you so much for offering your viewpoint on this complex issue and this tragedy. Barrington Martin II, a former congressional candidate from Georgia and the host of the Barrington Report, it's great to have your analysis today.
Thank you.
Knew very well what his family was involved in. Even though he said he never met with any of these people, there's pictures of Joe Biden with these people. There's logs from Joe Biden meeting with these people. There's emails from some of these people texting and emailing Hunter Biden saying, thanks for setting up the meeting with your dad. I mean, this is why we're investigating. This family has taken in millions and millions of dollars from our adversaries, mainly in China. And I think we need to determine what was that money for? Who supplied that money?
The hearing is scheduled for February 8th. The former Twitter executives are expected to be Vijaya Gotti, James Baker, and Yoel Roth. It will be the first they've appeared before Congress to discuss Twitter's decision to block news on Hunter Biden's laptop in the weeks leading up to the 2020 election. Comer said yesterday that the committee wants to make sure national security is not compromised. Republicans have...
Hey, Lime, come and get your bicycle. And that's exactly what they do.